Son of God is here, as he is, so am I on earth. Because of what Jesus did on the cross, when he reproduced himself inside me, as he is, so am I on earth. 1 John 4 verse 17. My friends, I want to share with you what happened to me last week on the 31st of March and the 2nd of April 2025. I discovered last year when I was renewing my driver's license that I had an unpaid license on a motorbike that I lost when I went into frail care. The fine was over 5,000 Rand. So I went to the traffic department or Department of Transport to get a form to waiver the fee, so they bring it down. And I spent weeks collecting all the relevant information, bank accounts, letters from doctors, the place I was living. And God said to me, Gus, what are you doing? You're a son of God. Everything you need for life and godliness has been given to you through your knowledge of Jesus. 2 Peter 1 verse 3. How is it that a son of God who has everything is going to a government department begging them to reduce fines? Everything is yours. So I said, well, God, what do you want me to do? And God said 3 things to me. Burn the bridges, go fishing, and pay your accounts. So I'm like, what does that mean? Burn the bridges. All those documents you've got, take them and tear them up. I don't want you to use them. Tear them up, delete them off your phone, do everything you need to do so you can't rely on those documents. I'm like, okay, so I tore these documents up. Then he said, go fishing. Go fishing, go fishing, go fishing. I remembered Jesus said to the people came to ask Jesus whether they pay temple taxes. And he says to Peter, go fishing, and the first fish you catch, take the money out of its mouth and use that to pay your temple tax and my temple tax. And then pay the account. So I'm like, okay, go fishing. So I knew I had a piece of fish in my fridge. So I went, piece of frozen fish in my fridge, I unwrap it. Now my hands are stinking on fish. And I pretend to take the money out. And I'm imagining the money I've got. I'm physically depositing it I'm imagining the ATM machine. I'm imagining depositing it. And then I'm imagine walking into the traffic department and putting my bank card in and typing in the account, my PIN number, and seeing it saying accept it. And I'm imagining this. I'm building up my faith. I'm imagining this. And I had 55 Rand in my bank account. And I go to the license department, the traffic department, and I insert my card. And the guy says to me, there's a problem with your card. You've exceeded the limit. What do you mean I've exceeded the limit? He said, you've got to go back to your bank and increase the amount of money you can pay. I'm like, okay, Lord, thank you. And at least it didn't say decline, because I only had 55 Rand in my account, so I was trying to pay over 5,000 Rand. And the guy said, let me keep these papers, and when you come back, you can collect them. You can come straight back to me. And I said, no, give me the papers. I'll do it. And as I said, give me the papers, I realized I didn't have the faith to pull off the miracle I was expecting. I didn't have the faith, because if I had the faith, I would have said, yes, I'll be back right now. I didn't have the faith to pull off, to activate God's grace for the miracle that I was expecting. So I'll go home, and 2 days later, I go back to the traffic department. This time I only had 5 Rand in my account. But the same morning, I went to the fish, I took the money out of the fish, I practiced putting it into the bank account, I practiced putting in my PIN number, and I went back to the lady, a different lady this time. And I put in my card, and it said insufficient funds. I'm like, that's impossible. There can't be insufficient funds. I put in funds this morning, and I put in funds 2 days ago. In the spirit, I put in funds. And she says, well, then there's still a problem with your card. You need to go and get sorted out. So last week, I tried to go to the traffic department to pay a fine of over 5,000 Rand with 50 Rand in my bank account. And it didn't work. Why didn't it work? Well, there were a couple of reasons. One is I didn't have the faith to pull off this miracle. I didn't have the faith to activate God's grace in this miracle. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. God rewards faith. Hebrews 11 verse 6. If I had faith, the miracle could possibly have come about. Second problem, God's not a counterfeit. God doesn't counterfeit money. If I imagine putting money in the account and expecting by faith that money would reproduce, that's actually counterfeiting. That's asking God to make counterfeit banknotes. I can't really expect God to do that. I could have expected somebody else to put the money in accounts, but I was expecting God to counterfeit the money, to basically do something illegal to pull off a miracle for me. And thirdly, Paul said to me, the third thing is, God said go fishing. I'm not a fisherman. Paul was a fisherman. Peter was a fisherman. When Jesus said to Peter go fishing, he was saying go and work, and from the money you get from your work, then pay me. I was trying I was not using wisdom. My friend Paul that I spoke to about this, he said, you need to use wisdom. Peter was a fisherman. His work was fishing. God's telling you to go and work, go and fish, and from the money you're using from work, pay your accounts. We need to use wisdom and faith when listening to God. Faith and wisdom. But let me tell you something. Faith, obedience to God. I was obedient to what God told me to, as far as I believed I could be. As far as my understanding. I had the obedience, but I didn't have the faith. You can be as obedient as you want to God. You can be as obedient to God as necessary. But if you don't have the faith, what God is telling you to do is not going to come off. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. God rewards those who earnestly seek Him. God rewards faith. So if you're obeying God, obedience is essential. But if you don't have the faith to do what God's calling you to do, don't expect it to come off.